The Great Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from dozens of alien species filled the massive chamber, their voices creating a chorus of worry and fear. At the center of it all stood Ambassador Park Soman, the lone human representative on this distant world. Park Somin looked calm as she faced the crowd of aliens. Her black hair was pulled back in a simple style, and her dark eyes showed no fear. Around her, creatures of all shapes and sizes whispered to each other. Some looked like giant insects, others like walking crystals, and a few resembled floating clouds of light. The Vorthak Empire has made their demands clear, announced Council Speaker Xiphon, an ancient being made of living crystal. His voice rang through the chamber like a bell. They want complete control of the Kepler 442 system. Any species that refuses will face their war fleet. A collective shiver ran through the assembled delegates. The Vorthak were known throughout the galaxy as brutal warriors. They looked like giant armored centipedes with dozens of legs and razor-sharp claws. Their empire had conquered dozens of worlds, and their military might was legendary. High Warlord, Krexthor stepped forward. He was massive even by Vorthak standards, his black armor gleaming under the chamber's lights. His many eyes glowed red as he spoke. 10,000 warships await my command. The largest fleet ever assembled. Surrender now or be destroyed. Many of the smaller species representatives began to panic. The peaceful melody folk, beings of pure energy who communicated through musical tones, played sad notes of despair. The tree-like Sylvani rustled their leaves in fear. Even the proud Zeridian bird people fluffed their feathers nervously. What does Earth say to these demands? Speaker Xiphon asked, his crystal face turning toward Park Somin. The human ambassador stood straighter. She had been Earth's voice in the galaxy for 3 years now. In that time, she had watched humanity slowly gain respect among the peaceful species. But she had also seen the fear in their eyes when they spoke of the Vorthak. Earth rejects these demands completely, Park Soman said, her voice clear and strong. The Kepler 442 system belongs to its people. Humanity will not allow the Vorthak to take it by force. Krexthor's mandibles clicked together in what might have been laughter. And how does your pathetic species plan to stop us? Your entire military could not match even one of our battle groups. Humanity will send one vessel to resolve this matter, Park Soman replied calmly. The chamber fell silent for a moment. Then the laughter began. It started with a few snickers from the Vorthak delegation, then spread throughout the hall. Even some of Earth's allies looked shocked and worried. One ship? Krexthor's voice boomed with amusement. Against 10,000? Your species has clearly lost its mind. The Zeridian ambassador Skytlan Vex spread his golden wings in distress. Ambassador Park, surely Earth can send more ships. This seems like suicide. Even the melody folk played confused, worried notes. They had grown fond of humans over the years. The idea of humanity throwing away their lives in such a hopeless gesture disturbed them greatly. Park Soman waited for the laughter to die down. When the chamber was quiet again, she spoke. One ship will be sufficient. This is madness, whispered the Sylvani delegate, her bark-like skin creaking with worry. The humans cannot possibly think one vessel can face such odds. Krexthor slammed, his armored fist on his speaking platform. So be it. When your single ship is destroyed in the first minute of battle, remember that we offered mercy. The blood will be on your hands, human. The warlord and his delegation stomped out of the chamber, their many legs clicking against the floor like a deadly drumbeat. As they left, many other delegates approached Park Soman with worried expressions. My friend, said Elder Harmonix of the Melody Folk, his energy form flickering with concern. Please reconsider. We cannot bear to see humanity destroyed over pride. Park Soman smiled sadly. Thank you for your concern, Elder. But sometimes one must take risks to protect what matters most. As the council session ended, Park Soman returned to her private quarters. She activated a secure communication channel to Earth. The holographic image of Admiral Kim Ji-won appeared, her stern face showing no emotion. The Vorthak took the bait, Park Soman reported. They believe we are sending only one ship out of desperation. Admiral Kim nodded. Captain Lee Dae-ho is already en route with the Indomitable. He should reach the Kepler system in 3 days. How is the crew handling the pressure? Park Salmon asked. Lee Dae-ho handpicked every member of his crew. They know what they signed up for. The Admiral paused. Salmon, the entire galaxy will be watching this battle. Are we ready? Park Salmon thought about Captain Lee Dae-ho, whom she had met several times. He was a quiet man with kind eyes, but those eyes held pain. His wife and daughter had died in a Vorthak raid 5 years ago. Since then, he had dedicated his life to making sure no other family would suffer the same loss. The captain is ready, she said. And so is his ship. Meanwhile, in deep space, the UES Indomitable moved through the void toward its destiny. The ship looked like a standard human dreadnought, 3 kilometers long, with a sleek gray hull marked by weapon ports and sensor arrays. To any observer, it appeared to be a powerful but conventional warship. Captain Lee Dae-ho stood on the bridge watching the stars stream past. His crew worked quietly around him, each focused on their duties. Commander Choi Min-ho checked tactical systems, while Chief Engineer Yang Yuna monitored the ship's power output. Dr. Kang Sunwoo prepared the medical bay, and Lieutenant Yu Jamin ran final weapons checks. Captain, said Commander Choi, we're receiving messages from across the galaxy. Betting pools on how long we'll last. Some are giving us 30 seconds. Lee Dae-ho almost smiled. What do you think, Min-ho? I think they're going to be very surprised, sir. Lieutenant Yu looked up from his console. Sir, all weapon systems show green. The special packages are ready for deployment. Good, Lee Dae-ho said. Yang, how are our power levels? Chief Engineer Yang Hyuna grinned. We're barely using 1% of our capacity, Captain. Everything is running perfectly. The captain nodded and returned his attention to the view screen. In 2 days, they would face the largest fleet ever assembled. 10,000 ships against one. The galaxy expected to witness humanity's destruction. Instead, they were about to learn what happened when someone threatened Earth's children. Captain Lee Dae-ho stood in his private quarters looking at a small photograph. It showed a woman with a gentle smile and a young girl with pigtails. His wife Minji and daughter Nara had been visiting the mining colony on Kepler 442c when the Vorthak raiders struck. They were among 300 humans who died that day. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. Come in, he called. Commander Choi Min-ho entered, carrying a data pad. Sir, we're 12 hours from the Kepler system. Also, I thought you should see the latest galactic news feeds. Lee Dae-ho took the pad and scrolled through the reports. Every major news network in the galaxy was covering what they called humanity's suicide mission. The headlines made him shake his head. Human ship races toward certain death. 10,000 to 1, the most hopeless battle in history. Earth's final gamble ends in disaster. One report from the Zeridian Broadcasting Network showed gambling. Houses across the galaxy taking bets. Most people were betting on how quickly the Indomitable would be destroyed. The longest odds were 2 minutes. They really think we're going to die quickly, Choi said. Let them think that, Lee Dae-ho replied. It will make our job easier. They walked together to the bridge where the rest of the senior staff was working. Chief Engineer Yang Hyuna was running final checks on systems that most of the galaxy had never seen. Dr. Kang Sunwoo was preparing medical equipment that could do far more than heal wounds. Lieutenant Yu Jamin was testing weapons that existed only in theoretical physics papers. Status report, Lee Dae-ho ordered as he sat in his captain's chair. All systems are operating at perfect efficiency, Yang Hyuna reported. The fusion cores are stable, and the special systems are ready for activation. Medical bay is prepared for all scenarios, Dr. Kang added. The biolabs are also standing by. Weapons are loaded and ready, Lieutenant Yu said with a grin. The Vorthak are in for quite a surprise. Lee Dae-ho nodded. His crew had trained for this moment for 2 years. Each of them knew they carried the hopes of not just humanity, but all the peaceful species in the galaxy. The Vorthak had to be stopped, and somehow it had fallen to them to do it. Captain, Choi said, incoming transmission from the Vorthak fleet. Put it on screen. The bridge's main viewer showed High Warlord Krexthor aboard his flagship, the World Render. The massive Vorthak's red eyes glowed with cruel amusement. Behind him, other Vorthak warriors chittered and clicked with anticipation. "Human vessel," Krexthor's voice boomed. "I am impressed by your courage even if it is foolish. You are about to face the greatest fleet ever assembled. 10,000 ships await you in the Kepler system." Li Deho stood up slowly. "We received your message, Warlord. We're on our way." "I offer you one final chance," Krexthor continued. "Surrender now, and I will make your death quick. Continue this course, and I will make your crew suffer before they die." "Counteroffer," Li Deho said calmly. "Leave the system now and we won't destroy your entire fleet." The Vorthak warriors behind Krexthor burst into laughter. The warlord's mandibles clicked with amusement. "One ship threatens 10,000? Your species truly has lost its mind." "You'll find out soon enough," Li Deho replied. Indomitable out. The transmission ended, and the bridge fell quiet. Dr. Kang looked worried. "Captain, do you think we're doing the right thing? So many lives are at stake." Li Deho thought about his family again, about all the families that would suffer if the Vorthak weren't stopped. Sun Wu, 5 years ago, the Vorthak killed 300 civilians on Kepler 442c. They were miners, farmers, teachers, children. The Vorthak didn't care. They wanted the planet's resources, so they took them. He paused, his voice growing harder. Today, they want the entire system. Tomorrow, they'll want Earth. Sometimes you have to take a stand. Yang Huna looked up from her console. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. Admiral Kim wants to speak with you." The holographic form of Admiral Kim Ji-won appeared, on the bridge. She looked tired but determined. "Captain Lee, the entire galaxy is watching. How do you feel about carrying humanity's reputation on your shoulders?" "It's not about reputation, Admiral," Li Deho replied. "It's about doing what's right," Admiral Kim smiled. "That's why we chose you for this mission. The Indomitable represents 50 years of human engineering and innovation. Don't let us down." "We won't, Admiral." As the transmission ended, Lieutenant Yu called out, "Captain, we're approaching the edge of the Kepler system. Long-range sensors are picking up the Vorthak fleet." On screen, the main viewer showed a sight that would have terrified most species. 10,000 Vorthak warships hung in space like a swarm of deadly insects. Each ship was dark and angular, bristling with weapons. Together, they represented enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. "My God," whispered Choi. "I knew it would. Be a lot, but seeing them all together..." "It is impressive," Li Deho admitted. "Yang, begin powering up our special systems. Keep them at minimal levels for now." "Aye, Captain." Bringing the enhanced systems online. Deep within the Indomitable, machines that existed nowhere else in the galaxy began to hum with power. Weapon systems based on theories that most species considered impossible started their charging cycles. Defensive systems that could protect. Entire planets activated their preliminary sequences. "Sir," Yu reported, "the Vorthak fleet is moving into attack formation. They're surrounding us." "Let them," Li Deho said. "Choi, open a channel to the fleet." "Channel open, sir." Li Deho's voice carried across space to every Vorthak ship. "Attention, Vorthak fleet. This is Captain Li Deho of the UES Indomitable. You have invaded sovereign space and threatened innocent civilians. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Krexthor's laughter echoed back. "The consequences? Human, you are one ship against 10,000. We could destroy you by accident." "We'll see," Li Deho replied calmly. He sat back in his chair and watched as the massive Vorthak fleet completed its encirclement. Soon they would attack, expecting an easy victory. Instead, they were about to learn why humanity had spent 50 years preparing for this moment. "All stations, prepare for combat," Li Deho ordered. "Let's show them what humans do to bullies." The crew's response was immediate and professional. They had trained for this, they were ready, and in a few hours the galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. High Warlord Krexthor stood on the bridge of his flagship, the World Render, watching the lone human ship through the massive view screen. The Indomitable sat motionless in space, surrounded by 10,000 Vorthak warships. To Krexthor, it looked like a small fish surrounded by sharks. "Warlord," his tactical officer chittered. "All ships report ready for battle. The human vessel shows no signs of retreat." Krexthor's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. "Good. We will make an example of these humans. The galaxy will see what happens to those who defy the Vorthak Empire." On the bridge of the Indomitable, Captain Lee Daeho watched the enemy fleet with calm eyes. His crew worked quietly around him, each focused on their duties. The ship's systems hummed with barely contained power. "Captain," Commander Choi Minho reported, "the Vorthak are taking their time. They want to make this into a show." "Let them," Lee Daeho replied. "The longer they wait, the more time we have to prepare." Chief Engineer Yang Hyuna looked up from her console. "Sir, all enhanced systems are standing by. Power output is still at minimal levels, just like you ordered." Dr. Kang Sunwoo checked his medical station. "Biodefense systems are ready, Captain. If they try anything nasty, we'll be prepared." Lieutenant Yu Jemin grinned as he ran final weapons checks. "All weapons show green, sir. The special packages are armed and ready." Across the galaxy, billions of beings watched the confrontation through live news feeds. In the Galactic Council chambers, Ambassador Park Soman sat with other delegates, all waiting to see what would happen. The Melody folk played nervous, worried songs. The Zeridian bird people ruffled their feathers anxiously. "This is madness," whispered the Silvani delegate. "One ship cannot face such odds." Elder harmonics of the Melody folk flickered with concern. "Perhaps the humans have some plan we cannot see." Park Soman said nothing, but her eyes never left the screen. On the world render, Krexthor decided he had waited long enough. "Signal the fleet. We will begin with a demonstration. 500 ships will fire on the human vessel. We will cripple them slowly, then demand their surrender." "Yes, Warlord," his officer replied. 500 Vorthak warships moved into firing position. Each ship was massive, bristling with plasma cannons and missile launchers. Together, they carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. "Human vessel," Krexthor broadcast, "you have one final chance to surrender. Yield now, and your death will be quick." On the Indomitable's bridge, Lee Daeho stood up slowly. "Negative. We're here to stop you, and that's exactly what we're going to do." Krexthor's eyes blazed with fury. "Then die, humans. All ships open fire." The 500 Vorthak ships unleashed their fury. Plasma bolts and kinetic rounds streaked across space like deadly rain. The barrage was so intense that it lit up the darkness like a new star. Enough energy to vaporize a city struck the Indomitable's hull, and absolutely nothing happened. The human ship sat exactly where it had been, completely undamaged. Its shields hadn't even flickered. On the world render, Krexthor stared in disbelief. "What? How is this possible?" His tactical officer's voice shook. "Warlord, our sensors show no damage to the human vessel. Their shields absorbed everything." Across the galaxy, the watching audience fell silent. The news commentators struggled to find words. In the Galactic Council chambers, delegates stared at their screens in shock. On the Indomitable, Yang Hyuna smiled as she checked her readings. "Shield integrity at 100%, Captain. They didn't even scratch the paint." Lee Daeho nodded. "Send them a message, Yu. Tell them they missed." Lieutenant Yu opened a channel. "Attention, Vorthak. Fleet. You seem to have missed your target. Would you like to try again?" Krexthor's rage was visible across space. "All ships in Attack Group Alpha, concentrate fire on that vessel. Destroy it." 2,000 Vorthak ships moved into position and opened fire with everything they had. The space around the Indomitable became a storm of destructive energy. Plasma, bolts, particle beams, and fusion missiles struck the human ship from every angle. Still nothing happened. "This is impossible," Krexthor roared. "No shield can withstand that much firepower." On the Indomitable, Dr. Kang looked amazed at his readings. "Captain, their biological weapons aren't even registering. Our biodefense systems are working perfectly. Good, Lee Daeho said. Yang, what's our power status? We're using about 2% of our capacity to maintain shields, Yang Huna reported. The fusion cores are barely working. Lee Daeho walked to the center of the bridge. For 5 years, he had waited for this moment. 5 years since the Vorthak had taken everything he cared about. Now it was time for payback. Open a channel to the Vorthak fleet, he ordered. When the channel was open, Lee Daeho's voice carried across space. Hi, Warlord Krexthor. You have attacked a human vessel without provocation. You have threatened innocent civilians. You have violated galactic law. He paused, his voice growing colder. Now you will learn why that was a mistake. You, weapons. Free. Show them what humans do to bullies. Lieutenant Yu's fingers danced across his console. Aye, sir. Activating primary weapons systems. The Indomitable's hull began to change. Panels slid open across its surface, revealing weapons that no one in the galaxy had ever seen. The ship's energy output suddenly spiked as systems came online that existed only in humanity's most classified research. What are those energy readings? Krexthor demanded from his tactical officer. I don't know, Warlord. The human ship's power signature just increased by 1,000%. The first salvo from the Indomitable wasn't like anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of plasma or lasers, the human ship fired pure antimatter contained in gravitational bottles. The projectiles moved at near light speed, guided by artificial intelligence systems that could predict enemy movements. 100 Vorthak ships simply disappeared. Not destroyed, not exploded, just gone, converted to energy in an instant. The silence that followed was deafening. Across the galaxy, billions of beings stared at their screens in shock. The mighty Vorthak Empire, rulers of 1,000 worlds, had just lost 100 warships to a single volley from one human vessel. On the world render, Krexthor's voice was barely a whisper. What are these humans? On the Indomitable, Captain Lee Daeho sat back in his chair. His crew worked with calm efficiency around him, preparing for the next phase of the battle. Choi, signal the fleet, he said quietly. Tell them we're just getting started. The galaxy had spent years underestimating humanity. They had seen humans as weak newcomers, struggling to find their place among the stars. They were about to learn how wrong they had been. High Warlord Krexthor stood frozen on his bridge, staring at the empty space where 100 of his ships had been moments before. His tactical officer's mandibles clicked nervously as he tried to process what had happened. Warlord, the officer whispered, how did one ship destroy so many of ours so quickly? Krexthor's red eyes burned with fury and confusion. I don't know, but we still outnumber them. All ships attack formation Gamma, surround them and fire everything. On the Indomitable, Captain Lee Daeho watched the Vorthak fleet reorganize. 5,000 ships moved to encircle his vessel while the remaining 4,900 stayed back in reserve. They're adapting, Commander Choi Minho observed, trying to overwhelm us with numbers. Time to show them that numbers don't matter, Lee Daeho replied. Yang, begin separation sequence. Chief Engineer Yang Huna's hands moved across her console with practiced ease. Aye, Captain. Initiating modular separation in 3, 2, 1, mark. Across the galaxy, billions of beings watched in amazement as the impossible happened. The Indomitable began to split apart. What had appeared to be a single 3-kilometer ship was actually 12 separate vessels connected by advanced docking systems. As they separated, each section revealed its own engines, weapons, and defensive systems. The command core, with Captain Lee Daeho aboard, remained in the center. 4 massive weapons platforms spread out in a diamond formation around it. 4 support vessels took positions at the corners, while 3 stealth ships simply vanished from all sensors. By the void, gasped the Zeridian ambassador back at the Galactic Council. It was never one ship, it was 12. Park Salmon allowed herself a small smile as she watched the alien delegates' shocked reactions. On the world render, Krexthor's voice rose to a roar. Impossible! No ship can split like that! His science officer, a smaller Vorthak with advanced implants, chittered frantically as he analyzed the readings. Warlord, each section shows independent power sources and weapons systems. It's like they built 12 ships that could work as one. The separated vessels of the Indomitable formation moved with perfect coordination. Each weapons platform was the size of a large destroyer, but packed with technology that made them more dangerous than an entire fleet. All sections report ready, Commander Choi announced from his new position aboard Weapons Platform Alpha. We have full tactical coordination. Dr. Kang's voice came from Support Vessel 2. Biodefense systems are active across all platforms. Medical facilities are standing by. Lieutenant Yu, now commanding Weapons Platform 3, sounded excited. All special weapons are charged and ready, Captain. Yang Huna, aboard Support Vessel 1, reported calmly. Power distribution is optimal. We can maintain this formation indefinitely. Lee Daeho opened a channel to Admiral Kim Ji-won on Earth. The Admiral's hologram appeared on his bridge, her face showing pride and determination. Status report, Captain, she requested. Phase 1 complete, Admiral. The Vorthak have seen our defensive capabilities. Now they're about to learn about our offensive power. Admiral Kim nodded. The entire galaxy is watching, Daeho. Show them what 50 years of human engineering can accomplish. The transmission ended, and Lee Daeho turned his attention back to the battle. The Vorthak fleet was still trying to surround his formation, clearly confused by the sudden multiplication of targets. Warlord, the tactical officer aboard the World, Render reported, the human vessels are moving. They're coming directly at us. Krexthor's eyes widened. All ships concentrate fire, destroy them before they can reach us. The remaining 9,900 Vorthak ships opened fire simultaneously. The space between the fleets became a storm of deadly energy as thousands of weapons discharged at once. But the human formation moved through the barrage like it wasn't there. The advanced shields, powered by technology that the galaxy had never seen, absorbed everything the Vorthak could throw at them. Impossible, Krexthor screamed. Nothing can withstand that much firepower. On Weapons Platform Alpha, Commander Choi smiled grimly. Actually, it's quite possible when you understand the science behind it. The human vessels began their counterattack. Each weapons platform revealed its true purpose as ports opened along their hulls. What emerged wasn't conventional weapons, but devices that bent the laws of physics. Gravity manipulation cannons created localized black holes that crushed entire squadrons of Vorthak ships. Quantum disruptors tore apart the atomic bonds holding enemy vessels together. Temporal displacement fields froze Vorthak ships in time, leaving them helpless targets. In 15 minutes, 2,000 more Vorthak ships were destroyed or disabled. Retreat, Krexthor finally ordered. All ships fall back to defensive positions. But as the Vorthak fleet tried to withdraw, they discovered that escape wasn't possible. The 3 stealth ships had spent the battle laying gravitational mines throughout the system. Invisible barriers of twisted space-time blocked every exit route. We're trapped, the tactical officer reported, his voice shaking. The humans have sealed the system. On Support Vessel 2, Dr. Kang monitored the bioweapons that some desperate Vorthak ships had started using. Captain, they're deploying illegal biological agents, planet killers. Lee Daeho's voice grew cold. That was a mistake. Show them why. Dr. Kang activated systems that officially didn't exist. Nanoscale medical drones poured out of the support vessels, designed not just to neutralize biological weapons, but to turn them back on their users. The Vorthak bioweapons became Vorthak nightmares as their own creations turned against them. What's happening to our ships? Krexthor demanded as several of his vessels went dark. The biological weapons are attacking us, Warlord, his science officer reported in terror. Somehow the humans reversed them. Young Huna's voice came across the comm system. Captain, power levels are holding steady at 12%. We can maintain this engagement indefinitely. The revelation hit the watching galaxy like a physical blow. Humanity hadn't just built better ships. They had completely redefined what was possible. While other species focused on building bigger, fleet's humans had spent decades making each vessel exponentially more powerful. In 6 hours of battle, the mighty Vorthak Empire had lost 8,000 ships. Their invincible fleet was being systematically dismantled by 12 human vessels that seemed to treat the laws of physics as suggestions rather than rules. Warlord, his communications officer whispered. The remaining fleet commanders are requesting permission to surrender. Krexthor stared at the human formation, which sat calmly in space as if they hadn't just revolutionized galactic warfare. His entire worldview was crashing down around him. How? He whispered. How is this possible? On the command core, Captain Lee Daeho stood and straightened his uniform. The battle was almost over, but he had one more lesson to teach the galaxy. Open a channel to all remaining Vorthak ships, he ordered. When the channel was open, his voice carried to every surviving enemy vessel. High Warlord Krexthor, you wanted to know how this is possible. The answer is simple. You spent centuries building fleets to conquer and destroy. We spent 50 years building ships to protect and defend. Paused, thinking of his wife and daughter. And now you're going to learn the difference. High Warlord Krexthor sat in his command chair, staring at the tactical display that showed the remains of his once mighty fleet. Of the 10,000 ships he had brought to crush humanity, fewer than 2,000 remained functional. The rest were either destroyed or drifting helplessly in space. And, Warlord, his communications officer said quietly, the human captain is requesting to speak with you. Krexthor closed his eyes. In all his years of conquest, he had never faced such complete defeat. His proud empire lay in ruins around him, broken by 12 human vessels that seemed to mock everything he thought he knew about warfare. Put him through, he said, his voice barely a whisper. Captain Lee Daeho appeared on the main screen. The human looked calm and composed, showing no signs of the fierce battle that had just ended. Behind him, his bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency. High Warlord, Lee Daeho said respectfully, I'm prepared to accept your surrender. Krexthor's remaining officers chittered nervously, waiting for their leader's response. The proud Vorthak warrior felt the weight of centuries of tradition pressing down on him. His species had never surrendered to anyone. What are your terms? Krexthor asked, hating himself for the words. Unconditional withdrawal from the Kepler system, Lee Daeho replied. Reparations for the families of those killed in your raids, and a formal apology to the Galactic Council. It was more mercy than Krexthor had ever shown to his own enemies. He nodded slowly. I agree to your terms. But Captain Lee Daeho wasn't finished. Before you go, Warlord, I want you and your fleet to witness something. You came here to show the galaxy your power. Now let me show you ours. The 12 sections of the Indomitable began to move toward each other. But instead of reconnecting, as a warship they started a completely different process. The weapons platforms extended mechanical arms and fabrication systems. The support vessels opened their cargo bays to reveal massive manufacturing equipment. What are they doing? Krexthor's science officer asked in confusion. Within hours, the answer became clear. The human vessels were building something new in the space where the battle had been fought. Using matter converters, they transformed the wreckage of destroyed Vorthak ships into raw materials. Energy manipulators shaped metal and composite materials with impossible precision. The galaxy watched in amazement as a massive space station took shape before their eyes. In 12 hours, where a devastating battle had raged, a fully functional diplomatic complex now orbited peacefully. By the ancestors, whispered the Zeridian ambassador back at the Galactic Council. They're building a space station from the wreckage. Elder harmonics of the melody folk played notes of pure wonder. They turned destruction into creation. Ambassador Park Soman stood before the assembled delegates. This is humanity's message to the galaxy, she announced. We don't seek conquest. We seek peace. But we will defend that peace with everything we have. On the new station, Captain Lee Daeho walked through corridors that smelled of fresh metal and new possibilities. His crew had outdone themselves. The station contained diplomatic facilities, medical centers, research labs, and even recreational areas where different species could meet in comfort. Commander Choi Minho joined him in the main observation deck. Captain, we're receiving docking requests from several species. The Melody folk want to establish a cultural exchange program. The Zeridians are asking about trade agreements. And the Vorthak? Lee Daeho asked. The surviving ships are requesting permission to dock for medical assistance. Apparently, our biodefense systems left some of their crew in need of treatment. Lee Daeho nodded. Grant it. Dr. Kang can help them. In the station's medical bay, Dr. Kang Sunwoo worked alongside Vorthak medics to treat injured warriors. The same technology that had neutralized their biological weapons was now being used to heal them. Your species is confusing, one Vorthak medic said as he watched Dr. Kang work. You could have killed us all, but instead you're saving our lives. Dr. Kang smiled. That's what doctors do. We heal. Chief Engineer Yang Hyuna stood in the station's main engineering section, explaining human technology to a group of alien scientists. The key is efficiency, she said. Instead of building 1,000 weak ships, we built 12 extremely powerful ones. But how did you make them so advanced? Asked a crystalline Xiphonian researcher. 50 years of continuous research and development, Yang Hyuna replied. While others focused on quantity, we focused on quality. Lieutenant Yu Jaemin found himself giving tours of the weapons systems to various military attachés. These gravity cannons can create localized black holes, he explained to a group of odd officers, but they can also be used for construction, helping to shape heavy materials. 3 months later, Ambassador Park So-min stood before the Galactic Council once again. This time, the Great Hall was filled with representatives eager to hear what she had to say. The fear and mockery were gone, replaced by respect and curiosity. The events at Kepler 442 have changed everything, Council Speaker Zifan announced. Humanity has demonstrated capabilities that exceed our understanding. The question now is, what does humanity want? Park So-min looked out at the assembled delegates. We want the same thing we've always wanted: peace, prosperity, and the chance for all species to grow and learn together. But surely you must want something in return for your protection, pressed the Silvani delegate. We want the galaxy to be a place where families can live without fear, Park So-min replied, thinking of Captain Lee's wife and daughter. Where children can grow up knowing they're safe. Where differences are settled with words, not weapons. High Warlord Krexthor, who had been given a seat as part of the peace negotiations, stood slowly. His once proud armor was now marked with symbols of peace rather than conquest. The Vorthak Empire formally requests alliance with Earth, he announced. We have learned much from our defeat. Strength without wisdom is meaningless. Humanity has both. The Council voted unanimously to grant humanity a permanent seat on the Security Council. Trade agreements were signed, research partnerships established, and cultural exchange programs began. 6 months later, Captain Lee Daeho stood on the bridge of the new UES Protector, watching as dozens of ships like the Indomitable patrolled the galaxy. Each one was a technological marvel that made his original vessel look primitive. Captain, his new first officer reported, we're receiving a distress call from the Rigel system. Pirates are attacking a Melody folk transport. Lee Daeho smiled. Set course for Rigel. Maximum speed. Aye, sir. ETA in 1 hour. As the Protector leaped into hyperspace, Lee Daeho thought about his wife and daughter. They would have been proud to see what their sacrifice had led to. The galaxy was safer now, protected by ships that could appear anywhere in hours rather than days. On Earth, Admiral Kim Ji-won looked out at the orbital shipyards, where hundreds of new vessels were under construction. Each one incorporated lessons learned from the battle at Kepler 442. Humanity had become the galaxy's guardians, not through conquest, but through the simple act of being willing to stand up to bullies. In the Galactic Council chambers, a new motto had been carved into the wall in dozens of languages: peace through strength, strength through unity, unity through understanding. The galaxy had learned that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their ships. It was their unwillingness to let innocent people suffer while they had the power to help, and that made all the difference.